Vol 1ch 104. Noya said her composition went smoothly, although she couldn't guarantee she would win first place. Advancing to the top 8 with the unconventional theme of parental love was not a problem. The couple was very happy for their daughter. However, based on past experience, they didn't rush to open champagne this time. Until they had the first place trophy in hand, the champagne cork would remain tightly sealed, and no one would dare to touch it. It's worth mentioning that Noya completed the composition independently. During the creative process, the couple didn't offer any suggestions or even visit her. Because they both knew that if the creative process of a piece of writing was scrutinized by others, it would lose all its original possibilities. So to respect their daughter, Leon and Risvitha tacitly chose to wait quietly. Even after the composition was finished, Noya didn't offer to show it to them, and they didn't ask. If she achieved a good ranking, there would be a small award ceremony in the class, and excellent compositions would be shared for everyone to appreciate together. It wouldn't be too late to admire their daughter's work then. When it came to respecting their children, the couple always managed to act in unison without needing to discuss it. After all, the primary premise of educating children is to respect them. The day after completing the composition, Noya returned to the academy on Leviathan. The rankings would come out in a few days, so all they needed to do now was wait quietly. Leon held Muin in his arms, standing side by side with Risvitha in the front yard, watching as the Leviathan gradually disappeared into the distance. Until the colossal creature vanished from sight, Leon finally turned around, one hand holding Muin and the other pinching her little cheek. "What does Muin want to play today?" he asked as he carried her towards the Silver Dragon Temple. Risvitha also turned back and followed behind them. Muin's tuft of hair on her head wobbled as she pondered, although she rarely did. After a brief moment of thought, Muin said earnestly, "Dad. Hermuz, what exactly did you and Mom do at the beach that day?" Leon's steps faltered. Even Risvitha behind him stopped in her tracks. He turned to look at Risvitha, who shrugged as if to say, "I don't know how to explain it, you figure it out yourself." "Darn it. Mother Dragon, you were the one who initiated it, weren't you?" During their last date 2 days ago, they went for a walk on the beach. As they walked, this pair of mischievous spouses started teasing each other. It started with them barefoot, trying to step on each other's feet. Risvitha had no advantage, because as soon as Leon realized he couldn't step on her feet, this brat went for her tail. So they ended up running to the shallow water area of the beach and started a water fight. Then Risvitha slipped and fell backward. Leon, quick on his feet, rushed forward and grabbed her wrist, supporting her slender waist to lift her up. But due to momentum, Risvitha didn't control her body in time and unintentionally fell into Leon's arms. The two locked eyes, the waves lapping at their calves, their pupils reflecting the sunset, and the atmosphere gradually turning ambiguous. Then she just inexplicably kissed Leon's cheek. Well, that's it, nothing else happened. Really, nothing else happened. After all, both of them realized that the kids might still be peeking somewhere, so they didn't do anything too outrageous. They thought that fleeting kiss wouldn't be noticed. But turns out it was still seen, huh? Wait, no. If Muin really saw Mom and Dad kissing at that time, she wouldn't ask a question like, "What were you doing then?" Instead, it would be something like, "You guys were kissing, right, Tilda?" In other words, she and Noya were probably watching, but at that critical moment, maybe Anna covered their eyes. So now she's so curious. Seeing Mom and Dad remain silent, Muin continued. "Anna said that part was not suitable for children to see, but Muin is really curious. What exactly did Mom and Dad do?" Oh, Anna intervened, just in time. The maid's intentions were good, but she overlooked Muin's curiosity. At this age, young dragons are most curious. If Leon and Risvitha Don't give her a perfect explanation now. They'll probably be pestered with this question for the next week. Leon thought for a moment and chose a more tactful approach. We didn't do anything. Mom just wanted to express her gratitude to Dad. Gratitude? Muan scratched her head. Exactly, Mom fell down at that time. Dad helped her up, and Mom thanked him in an adult way, Leon said. Adults have their own way of expressing gratitude, and children have theirs. You shouldn't imitate each other, understand, Muan. Muan suddenly realized, oh, I see. Yeah, that's it. When will Daddy thank Mommy in an adult way? Leon. Rizvitha suppresses a laugh. She wanted to laugh, but she had to hold it in. Good daughter, unless the sun rises from the west, your dad won't be thanking me. All right, Muan, don't ask too many of these questions. You'll understand when you grow up, Rizvitha said. Go play with Dad in the backyard, be safe, Mom has to go to work. Muan obediently nodded. Okay, Mom, take care, Tilda. Rizvitha stepped forward, gently lifted Muan's chin with her hand, then stepped into the Silver Dragon Temple. Leon also took his daughter to the backyard. After dinner, Leon sat at his desk, looking at the last set of bunny girl photos in his hand, wondering where to hide them. The other 4 sets had already been hidden in places where Rizvitha couldn't possibly find them. As for this last set, he hadn't figured out where to hide it yet. As he pondered, he heard the lock click. Leon immediately opened the drawer and put the photos inside. High heels clicked on the floor in a crisp, rhythmic manner. Rizvitha wore a long dress as she walked into Leon's room. Leon glanced at her and asked, "What's up? Are you planning to sleep here tonight too?" Rizvitha sat down on his bed, crossed her legs and smiled. "What's wrong with that?" HMPH, suit yourself. Leon now held 2 aces up his sleeve, a well-rested body after a half-month break, and a collection of bunny girl photos. His main strategy was simple. If the enemy didn't move, he wouldn't move. But if the enemy moved, he'd strike fiercely. Of course, this was just an ideal scenario. If the opportunity presented itself, he wouldn't hesitate to take the initiative. Rizvitha adjusted the strands of hair near her temples and glanced out the window, casually saying, "Didn't you ask me about the things you said in your sleep that night?" Leon raised an eyebrow, turning from his chair. "What did I say?" Rizvitha smiled knowingly, retracting her gaze and fiddling with her nails. "You said you liked mature women and liked black stockings and stuff." Gulp. Leon swallowed. Could he really have blurted out those undisclosed preferences in his sleep? Had Rizvitha slipped him some truth serum or something before bed? "Well, I can understand that," she continued nonchalantly. "After all, even the mightiest dragon slayer is still a man with his own little quirks. It's normal." Leon smirked, keeping his composure. Given Rizvitha's conversational style, there should be a twist coming up. "But, as expected, I can understand the mature women and black stockings, but the bunny girls, that's a bit hard to comprehend, isn't it?" Bunny girls? Leon's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that she found out about him secretly taking photos of Rizvitha in her bunny girl outfit? No, no, no. He had just checked the 4 hiding spots for those photos, and they were all well hidden. Rizvitha couldn't have possibly discovered them. Could it really be that he talked about bunny girls in his sleep? Leon found it hard to believe. "Leon, do you like bunny girls?" Rizvitha asked with a smile. Leon felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. He adjusted his posture but didn't deny it. "So what if I do? Hobbies are personal freedoms." "Yes, hobbies are personal freedoms, and XP experience points are personal freedoms too." Rizvitha shrugged. "I didn't say anything. Why are you so worked up?" She scratched her head as if trying to remember something. "Oh right, you also said that night." She deliberately elongated her tone, enjoying Leon's nervous and curious expression. You said you wanted to see your female classmates dress up as bunny girls for you." Slap! Leon slammed the table. You audacious dragon, that's pure nonsense. I would never say such things in my dreams. And even if I did, I'd definitely say it was about you dressing up as a bunny girl for me. Risvitha was slightly taken aback. You little rascal, did you blurt out your true feelings in the heat of the moment? After a brief moment of surprise, Risvitha decided to strike back. Make me dress up. Dream on, I would never dress up as a bunny girl for you in this lifetime. Leon's mind stirred slightly as he glanced at the drawer beside him. Seizing the opportunity, he asked, but what if you did dress up for me, then what? What if that's simply impossible? Leon waved his hand. Never mind whether it's possible or not, just answer me this. If you did dress up, what would you do? The queen snorted, crossing her arms confidently. No matter what tricks you're planning, trying to use charm or coercion to make me put on a bunny girl outfit is futile. Your little tricks can't escape my scrutiny. And if I did indeed put on a bunny girl outfit for you, well, you can deal with me however you want. Leon raised an eyebrow. Is that so? It is, but you should think carefully, Dragon Slayer. If your plans fail, you know better than anyone the consequences, don't you? Leon stood up, confidently declaring, my dear queen, I don't need any plans, because I've already done everything that needs to be done. With that, he slowly opened the drawer beside him. Vol 1ch, 105. This one, a masterpiece. This one, Tusk, a rare find. And this one, I would call it, the ultimate art. Every time Leon placed a photo on the table, Risvitha's face turned darker. By the time he reached the last one, she randomly picked up one and burned it with dragon flames. However, Leon didn't seem to care at all. Come on, burn them all, what difference does it make? He had plenty more anyway. Watching Leon's calm demeanor, Risvitha guessed that he must have prepared more than just these photos. When exactly did he manage to sneak in and take so many unbearable bunny girl photos? And there were group photos too. Slab. Leon put his hand on Risvitha's shoulder, continuing to tease this mother dragon whose embarrassment and anger were about to explode. You must be dying to know when I took these photos, aren't you? Silver Dragon eyes stared intensely at Leon. If it were any other time, Leon would have already been groveling beneath her, begging for mercy. But since he could casually display these photos without fear of her destroying him, Risvitha was even more certain that he had an ace up his sleeve. So she couldn't act recklessly and instead decided to see just how many cards he still had hidden. Seeing Risvitha just glaring at him with embarrassment and anger, without a word, Leon continued. Do you still remember the last time you used the blood temptation against me for revenge? At this point, Risvitha understood everything. She should have guessed it earlier. During the days she was unconscious, Leon, this scoundrel, couldn't have just sat around waiting for her to wake up. Besides scouting around the back mountain of the Silver Dragon Temple, he must have done something else. She never expected it to be something like this. Leon happily admired Risvitha's expression. At this moment, this mother dragon was like a pufferfish about to explode with anger. But unfortunately for her, Leon had her fatal weakness in his hands. No matter how much she puffed up with rage, she simply couldn't explode. So this was what it felt like to control someone else's fate. It was even more satisfying than the resonance of dragon marks. Risvitha bit her lip, glancing at the several photos on the table. Are you planning to use these to threaten me? Leon shook his head. No, I never said I would threaten you. It was you who just said that if you put on the bunny girl outfit, you would let me do as I pleased, wasn't it? You. She spoke too soon. She had been tricked by this guy. Actually, Risvitha had no need to keep her word to her own prisoner. She had said what she said, and even if she didn't acknowledge it, what could Leon do? In the past, she had used this excuse to force Leon several times. As long as she could oppose his will, it was the most tormenting torture for him. But this time was different. Not only did she say something like, "Let you do as you please," but more importantly, Leon had the leverage to utterly ruin her. As the saying goes, what has been said is a prophecy fulfilled. At present, she could only let him do as he pleased. "So what exactly do you want me to do?" Rosvitha asked. Leon pretended to ponder for a moment before saying, "Didn't you say you would never wear a bunny girl outfit for me in your lifetime? These photos were taken while you were unconscious. Knowing your personality, you're definitely not going to be pleased. So how about this? You come over right now wearing a bunny girl outfit." Rosvitha listened to him spouting nonsense with a serious expression. What did he mean by knowing your personality? You're definitely not going to be pleased. Clearly, he just wanted to see her in a bunny girl outfit, so he made up this lame excuse. What if I refuse? She needed to know Leon's bottom line and to what extent he would use these photos to threaten her. "Refuse, no problem at all. It's just that next time we visit your sister's house, she might display these bunny girl photos, and we can all enjoy them together as a family." "Well done, Casmode, well done indeed," Rosvitha thought bitterly. "Not only did you socially kill me, but you also made my sister the executioner. You're really ruthless." If Isabella saw these photos, Rosvitha wouldn't dare to face her for at least 200 years. Leon's move had indeed hit Rosvitha right in the heart, leaving her helpless. Though she felt unwilling, Rosvitha had to accept her fate. I don't have a bunny girl outfit," Rosvitha said, hugging herself and lowering her gaze. "Is that so? Well, I'm not unreasonable," Leon replied. Rosvitha raised her eyes. Was he going to let her off? Could he be this kind-hearted? "Since you don't have the outfit, I'll give you an hour to prepare. Isn't that generous enough?" Leon said. "Leon, Rosvitha started. Leon looked at the clock on the wall. "It's now 5:50 in the evening. I'll round it up for you and give you an extra 10 minutes. By 7 tonight, I'll come to your room to inspect the result." Leon leaned in close to Rosvitha, their breaths mingling. He could even feel the heat radiating from Rosvitha's flushed cheeks. "Be obedient now, okay? You wouldn't want your sister to find out about this bunny girl side of you, would you?" Leon teased. "Shut up, I'll go get the outfit," Rosvitha replied, pushing him away and swiftly leaving in her high heels. Bang! A rather indignant slam of the door. Leon chuckled. Finally, it's my turn to take charge. An hour later, Leon arrived at Rosvitha's room. He saw Rosvitha sitting on the edge of the bed, looking like a girl about to get married, draped in a long black coat that covered her from head to toe. The blush on her face hadn't faded, adding a hint of allure to her appearance. I couldn't find the bunny ears," Rosvitha said, looking up at Leon and speaking softly. "Why couldn't you find them?" Leon asked. In fact, when Leon took those photos, he didn't have bunny ears either. In the end, he improvised by using Rosvitha's hair to craft a pair of ears. So he understood why Rosvitha couldn't find them now. But he just wanted to tease this mother dragon a bit and make her experience some of the frustration he had endured. Rosvitha lightly bit her red lips and spoke with the softest, most innocent tone while saying the hardest words. "I couldn't find them. There's no reason why." Leon adopted an air of authority. "All right, it's your first time after all. I'll relax the requirements a bit for you." Leaning back in his chair, crossing his legs, he pointed at Rosvitha's coat. "So, underneath this coat is..." Rosvitha didn't immediately answer him. Instead, she asked, "If I cooperate with you, let you do as you please, will you destroy these photos, as well as any other backups or anything else, right?" "It depends on my mood," Leon replied, not revealing everything. It sounded like there were indeed backups. Rosvitha turned to look at him. "How many backups did you make in total?" Leon's mind twitched slightly. He replied, "2. Even though I have the upper hand, I still need to show weakness to the enemy. Dealing with this mother dragon, I can't afford to be careless." Risvitha took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. Please, don't let me find those backups, Leon, or else. Leon shrugged indifferently. That's a problem for the future. You know me, life is short, so let's enjoy the present. Now, don't waste any more time, your bunny majesty, take off the coat. Risvitha closed her eyes and reluctantly removed the coat. Inside, sure enough, was a set of bunny girl attire. Black stockings wrapped around the graceful long legs, while a low-cut bodysuit generously displayed the alluring figure of Risvitha. The perfectly ample bosom was snugly tucked beneath the tight clothing, with half of the dragon tattoo exposed to the air, extending all the way to the cleavage at the front. Unable to find bunny ears or a bunny tail, at the small of her back where the bunny girl outfit was, there remained her silver dragon tail. Strangely, it didn't feel out of place at all. Instead, it added a lot of fresh appeal. Bunny girl plus dragon girl, combining Leo's favorite creature with his least favorite creature in a wonderful way. Her expression seemed somewhat awkward and constrained, with her legs pressed together, the tip of her tail hanging down by her feet, nowhere to settle comfortably. She looked entirely unable to relax. And it was precisely this shy and awkward appearance that would strike a chord with certain bunny girl enthusiasts. Have you seen enough yet? The dragon girl sounded a bit impatient, blushing as she spoke. What are we going to do next? Leo nodded in satisfaction, then retrieved the mini whip from when Risvitha had played teacher with him before. Ahem, Miss Melkvi, please lie down immediately because we're about to begin our lesson. Risvitha! Damn dragon slayer, you better not fall into my hands. Vol 1ch, 106. Classmate Melkvi. Leon solemnly tapped his palm with a small teaching cane, as if he were a truly exemplary teacher. HMPH. Exemplary teacher. A wolf in sheep's clothing. Risvitha unwillingly complied with him, just as he had unwillingly complied with her before, but still closed her eyes and reluctantly said, Yes, teacher. What's your attitude, Melkvi? Risvitha sighed. What's wrong with my attitude, teacher? Leon lightly tapped Risvitha's cheek with the small teaching cane. If Risvitha remembered correctly, the last time this cane appeared was when she used it to strike Leon's chest. Is this the attitude you have when speaking to your teacher? Try again. Risvitha bit her lip, mustered her emotions, and replied, Yes, teacher Tilda. That's about right. Oh, classmate Melkvi, your school uniform today is quite unique, with the black stockings. Risvitha smirked. Isn't it because I thought the teacher would like it, so I wore it? Bold, how could I like such superficial things? Don't wear it next time. Yes, teacher, I won't. Risvitha glanced at Leon's expression. Clearly, her previous response didn't fit the teacher play script Leon had in mind. This guy even followed his eldest daughter to act in a drama about parental love, and now he thinks he's a big star, huh? Risvitha angrily gripped the bed sheet, rephrased her words. No, teacher, I just like wearing this outfit to show you. You tilde tilde tilde. Even she felt like throwing up at her own words. But better to just throw up than to have those bunny girl photos end up in Big Sister's hands. HMPH, since it's your first offense, I'll let it slide. Thank you, teacher. Did you do yesterday's homework? Risvitha raised an eyebrow and shook her head. Teacher, haven't we gone half a month without homework? Hissed tilde tilde tilde. Leon lightly struck her buttocks with the small teaching cane, not too forcefully, but enough to elicit a cry from her. I didn't assign homework because I forgot. You not reminding me is your laziness, understand? Leon lectured firmly. Blushing, Risvitha quietly rubbed her slightly sore buttocks. Understood, teacher. Now let's go over tonight's assignment. Listen carefully. Yes, teacher. The assignment is called 3 Honors and 3 Shames, a creed every proud dragon slayer knows by heart. I'll recite it for you now, so pay close attention. Risvitha's face was full of black lines. Teacher, is it possible that maybe I'm actually a dragon, not a dragon slayer, so should we maybe change the assignment? Snab. This time he struck her other buttock. Risvitha bit her lip, tears welling up in her eyes as she miserably held her buttocks. She swore that if she ever caught him off guard, she would make him pay tenfold. Whatever assignment the teacher gives you, you must obediently complete it, understood? Leon asserted with the authoritarian air of a middle-aged male teacher. Yes, and teacher. The first of the 3 honors and 3 shames, to be proud of loyalty to the Empire and to be ashamed of colluding with the dragon race. To be proud of loyalty to the Empire and to be ashamed of colluding with the dragon race. Damn it! Forcing a dragon to be ashamed of colluding with its own kind. Isn't that pushing it too far? Inhale, exhale. Deep breaths, deep breaths. Risvitha comforted herself silently, telling herself that this was just the perverted taste of a dog of a man, nothing more, just a kink. Next, Leon taught her the following 2 lines. Risvitha had never regretted her ability to recall text as much as she did now. If possible, she really wanted the creator to take away her vocal cords. Classmate Melkvi is very clever, learning so quickly, Leon said. Thank you for the praise, teacher. Risvitha hesitated for a moment, then asked, Teacher, is it time for class to be over? What do you think? Leon countered. Risvitha blinked. I think it's time for a little break. HMPH, classmate Melkvi, with the major exam approaching, you can't always think about resting. Next is the cultural appreciation class. Damn dragon slayers and their endless schemes, even cultural appreciation classes are included. All right, I'll see what you want me to appreciate. This queen has lived for 200 years. What can a 20-something little sprout like you bring out to impress me? Leon took off his shirt. Clear muscle lines, as if sculpted, solid from shoulders to arms and down to his waist, each inch filled with strength. And the dragon tattoo representing longing and loyalty was boldly branded on his chest, emitting a faint glow. All right, so this is what we're appreciating in cultural appreciation class. You're testing the Dragon King with this. Which Dragon King can't withstand such a test? Childish. Risvitha's gaze slowly moved up from Leon's solid waist, past the dragon tattoo, and settled back on his face. Teacher, this doesn't seem to have much to do with cultural appreciation class, does it? Of course, it's related. Today, we are learning about the tolerance and absorption of foreign cultures. Risvitha couldn't help but swallow nervously. The title somehow didn't seem quite right. Tolerance and absorption, in other contexts, they're a perfectly normal pair of phrases. But why did it feel different when it came from Leon? Before Risvitha could react, the dragon tattoo on her chest began to shimmer gradually. Once both emblems resonated, it was unstoppable, like a rolling boulder down a mountain. Leon leaned down, extending his hand to gently caress Risvitha's slightly flushed cheek. Initially, Risvitha tried to turn away, but she couldn't resist Leon's gentle advances and the resonance of their emblems, soon falling into a bewildering affection. Her lips parted slightly as her teeth lightly nibbled on Leon's fingertip. Their hearts connected through their fingertips, sending tingles and shivers. Classmate Melkvi, aren't you naughty, daring to tease the teacher? Leon whispered softly in her ear. Risvitha released her mouth, her face flushed as she embraced his neck, silent. Leon also leaned closer to her, the couple face to face, their noses almost touching, breathing each other's air at a distance that was absolutely blush-inducing. Since the night at the hot springs, they had lost their initial reluctance and shyness towards kissing. Just like when they were at the seaside, Risvitha would still impulsively kiss the corner of Leon's mouth. They exchanged glances for a moment, their lips meeting gently in a tender embrace. However, just when Risvitha thought that tonight's embarrassing teacher play session had ended and they were about to move on to the main event, Leon surprised her with some unexpected tricks she hadn't seen before. "Turn around, Miss Melkvi," Leon said. What? Before Risvitha could understand what he meant, Leon flipped her over. After a moment of surprise, Risvitha immediately realized what was happening and hastily used her tail to block. "No, Leon, you can't do this." Leon pushed aside her tail and pressed her down on her knees. "What's wrong, student? It's all for your own good, you know. Even though we're reaching the same destination in the end, the cheese is different, so the feeling will also be different." Risvitha didn't want to easily try something she hadn't experienced before, which made her feel very insecure. But unfortunately, she wasn't in control now. The bunny girl costume was removed, and one of the black stockings was taken off as well. Risvitha attempted to resist, but this time Leon took the lead. And the influence of the dragon tattoo on him was much smaller than on Risvitha. Seeing her resistance was futile, Risvitha could only let Leon take control. She buried her face in the pillow, unable to look. Only when she felt the real sensation did muffled sounds come from the pillow. This was also a new attempt for Leon. Despite aiming for the same destination, the approach was different. So he took a moment to adapt before leaning in towards Risvitha's ear. Her ears were red and hot, and she could feel the warmth of his lips lightly touching them. "Now, Miss Melkvi, recite to me the 3 honors and 3 shames that I just taught you." Risvitha's heart trembled, still burying her face in the pillow. "No. Recite it. If you don't, teacher will punish you severely, Tilda." Each pause represented another attack. "You!" Risvitha lifted her head, disheveled silver strands clinging to her face. "To honor the Empire is an honor. To collude with the Dragon Clan is a shame." Very good. And then? "To honor the battlefield with blood is an honor. To flee in the face of the enemy is a shame." Risvitha continued reciting. As she recited, Risvitha realized that as long as she obediently recited this ridiculous 3 honors and 3 shames, she could ease the situation slightly. Well then, what did it matter if she recited this nonsense? Anything to make this damned night end sooner. However, Leon wouldn't easily let Risvitha off just because she recited well. After all, there's a principle of softly in doing things right. Gradually, Risvitha also sensed that something was amiss. She knew that deceitful men had plenty of tricks up their sleeves. He wasn't the same naive dragon slayer he used to be. To collude with the dragon, Why did you stop, Miss Melkvi? Continue reciting. Teacher hasn't heard enough yet. Even though he said he hadn't heard enough, he had no intention of letting Risvitha continue reciting properly. But if she didn't recite well, she would be punished by the teacher. Damn, it was a vicious cycle. "I won't recite anymore, just punish me," Risvitha blushed. "This is what you said, Miss Melkvi." Her cheeks flushed, she buried her face in the pillow again. As the process progressed, the sensations brought about by the dragon tattoo became increasingly intoxicating. But perhaps due to the change in the cheese, Risvitha felt that Leon was fighting more bravely tonight. Could it be because of the recovery after half a month of rest? Seems like I've underestimated him. "Miss Melkvi, I just said, the title of this lesson is Acceptance and Absorption of Foreign Cultures." Risvitha gripped the corner of the pillow, not responding to him. "You've just learned about tolerance, now it's time for absorption. Of course, foreign cultures have both flaws and essence. What should we do then, With her eyes closed, Risvitha replied helplessly, "Discard the flaws, retain the essence." "Yes, Miss Melkvi, you must absorb all the essence of these foreign cultures, understand?" Risvitha gritted her teeth. "Understood, teacher." The night grew darker, but it seemed like there was still a long, long time until the end of class. Vol 1ch 107. Something wasn't right. Not at all. Rishvitha felt a bit numb. They had started at 7 in the evening. But now it was past 1 in the morning, and there was no sign of Leon slowing down. Rishvitha tried to analyze the reason for his excitement. Firstly, let's not talk about the half-month of conserving energy. This guy's recovery speed was nothing like a normal person's. What others might take 2 or 3 months to recover from, he was almost there in just over a week. That's why Rishvitha strictly enforced the 3 days and 1 night rule before. After all, if she wasn't careful, he would quietly develop and slip out of her control, just like now. Secondly, the bunny girl costume plus the black stockings equaled double critical hits, and the growing stronger with each battle buff. The two things that had hit him hard were now combined into Rishvitha's body. There might not be such an opportunity in the future, so that's why he was going all out tonight. Finally, there's our old friend, the Dragon Tattoo. Every time, it plays a role far beyond what Rishvitha initially expected. After who knows how many rounds of intense battle, Rishvitha collapsed exhaustedly on the bed. Her head was dizzy, limbs sore, and she desperately wanted to sleep. Even her enormous dragon body couldn't withstand such exertion. She needed rest, she needed rest. However, before she could lie down for even 5 minutes, Leon gently caught hold of her tail. This was the prelude to the next round of battle. Rishvitha's tail tip twitched reflexively, but her exhausted dragon body had no strength left to continue the struggle. Can we do it tomorrow? Rishvitha pleaded. No, what needs to be done today must be done today. Have you forgotten the teacher's usual words? Leon replied. Rishvitha rolled her eyes speechlessly. She had rolled her eyes many times tonight, not all due to being speechless, and said, but it's already past midnight. From last night at 7 until now, it's already beyond the scope of today's tasks for today, isn't it? Wrong, Miss Melkvi. It seems I'll need to give you some extra math lessons when I have time, Leon said. Leon once again spoke seriously. What needs to be done today must be done today. This so-called today starts from the moment this statement is made. In other words, from last night at 7 until tonight at 7 is considered today. Just hearing these words made Rishvitha curl up her tail directly. Why, you don't really mean to continue until tonight at 7, do you? Please tell me you're not serious. Of course not, Leon replied. Rishvitha breathed a sigh of relief internally. However, Leon's following statement made her heart sink slightly. I will give you time to eat. Rishvitha. Rishvitha felt a bit overwhelmed. Only 1 mealtime? Am I some kind of water resource with infinite regeneration? Is this how you treat me? Seeing the expression on Rishvitha's face, Leon added, What's wrong, Miss Melkvi? Aren't you satisfied with the breaks the teacher gives you? Rishvitha turned her head away. I'm satisfied, teacher. I'm very satisfied. At least you still give me time to eat. Ah, your words really hurt the teacher's heart. Leon pretended to be distressed. How about this? I'll give you another half an hour to spend time with Muon. How does that sound? Rishvitha clenched her teeth tightly. Thank you, teacher. Don't mention it. If you really want to thank the teacher, then listen to the teacher's lessons attentively, understand. Speechless, Rishvitha nodded. Leon glanced at the clock. It was indeed very late. Continuing like this might actually disrupt his body's recovery rhythm. Even though he had rested for half a month, Leon couldn't squander all his energy at once, or it would give this mother dragon a chance to counterattack. What was that phrase again? Ah yes, slow and steady wins the race. He gently patted Rishvitha's blushing face and then got up from the bed, putting on his clothes. That's it for today's lesson. Miss Melkvi, you did very well. We'll continue when we have time. Rishvitha grabbed the blanket and covered herself, her jade-like fingers pinching the corner of the blanket as she watched Leon's figure walking away, her eyes full of unwillingness and anger. You dog of a man, just you wait. Well, the next evening, Risvitha finished her work early and returned to her room. Standing on the balcony, she looked towards the backyard where Leon was playing games with Muin. He probably wouldn't be back for a while. A perfect opportunity. The Silver Dragon Queen turned around, quickly heading to Leon's room. Once inside, she headed straight for the bedroom. The first target was the pillow. Risvitha tore open Leon's pillow and reached inside, searching left and right, but found nothing. Next was the bedsheet. She lifted it up and searched underneath, but still couldn't find the backup bunny girl photos Leon had hidden. After rummaging around for a while, Risvitha put the blanket and pillow back in place. She furrowed her brows, hands on her waist, surveying Leon's room. Where could he have hidden them? It seemed that the only way to completely end Leon's winning streak was to find the backup photos that he had hidden. And Leon must know that those backups were the key to his immunity, so he would definitely hide them in a very secretive place, one that Risvitha wouldn't easily discover. At this point, the goals of the couple were clear. Leon, hide the photos to maintain control. Risvitha, find the photos to regain control. When will this cycle of grievances end? It's all nonsense. Only by holding absolute control can one protect their position in the family. A prisoner of war can't turn the tide. What a joke. Muttering to herself, the queen continued to search the room. She looked through the vase, the desk, under the bed and the balcony, but there was not a shadow of a photo to be found. After bustling around for a while, Risvitha couldn't help but start to ponder. Could this guy be deceiving me? Maybe there are no backup photos at all. But she quickly dismissed the thought. If there were no backup photos, Leon wouldn't be so arrogant. Since she couldn't find them after searching his room, Risvitha had no choice but to try looking elsewhere. As she stepped towards the door, she heard a faint sound from the lock. Oh no! Leon was back. She couldn't let him catch her in his room. He'd figure out she was searching for the photos in a heartbeat. Risvitha instinctively took a half step back, looking around for a place to hide. In desperation, she darted into the nearest bathroom. Pressing against the bathroom door, Risvitha listened carefully to the sounds outside. Muin, Dad has something to do tonight, so I won't play with you anymore. Go to bed early, okay? All right, good night, Dad. Good night. Well, Leon, you've arranged everything for me so transparently, even your daughter's bedtime routine. Click, the sound of the door closing. At this moment, Risvitha was just one wall away from Leon. It was still early after dinner, so he shouldn't come to the bathroom to shower, right? Risvitha's assumption was reasonable. Normally, Leon wouldn't immediately take a shower upon returning home, giving her a chance to slip away later. However, she overlooked an important factor. Dragon slayers have a natural sensitivity to dragons. As soon as Leon closed the door, he caught a faint, yet familiar scent. It was Risvitha's fragrance. However, he didn't pay too much attention. After all, it was normal for Risvitha's scent to linger, since she often came in and out of his room. Leon took off his shoes in the hallway and entered the house. But as he stood in the living room, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. The pillows, blankets, sofa cushions, and various other decorations, everything seemed to be arranged in an orderly manner. So tidy that it didn't look like his room anymore. After a brief contemplation, Leon understood what was going on. So I couldn't resist coming to look for the photos after all. With this in mind, Leon turned and headed towards the door. He planned to use this as an excuse to start tormenting Risvitha tonight. However, as he briskly passed by the bathroom door, he stopped once again. Leon slowly turned his head, gazing at the bathroom door, and couldn't help but tilt his head. Then he chuckled softly. Afterward, he withdrew his gaze and opened the door. Upon hearing the click of the door lock, Risvitha inside the bathroom immediately breathed a sigh of relief. However, she did not celebrate her narrow escape. Leon was heading to her room to interrogate her, and if he found her absent, he would definitely turn back. So she couldn't stay any longer, she had to get out quickly. Once outside, she could directly circle back to her own balcony from Leon's balcony. Their rooms were adjacent, so he wouldn't notice any flaws. After calculating her plan, Risvitha slowly pressed down on the door handle. Greg! As Risvitha opened the door, she was startled by the figure standing outside, her tail instinctively curling up in fright. Leon, arms crossed, leaned against the bathroom door, casually whistling. Melkvi, did you sneak into the teacher's room to steal the exam papers? So he had already discovered her. His act of opening and closing the door earlier was intentional, just to alert Risvitha. Risvitha recoiled immediately and then, with a swift movement, pressed her hand firmly against the door panel. Meanwhile, Leon calmly switched on the light in the bathroom. Through the blurred glass door, he could vaguely see Risvitha's figure blocking the doorway. Ahem! Leon cleared his throat, and Risvitha had no idea what new trick he was about to pull. Next up, Mr. Leon Casmode presents a song requested by Miss Melkvi. Little Bunny, open the door quickly. Also, Mr. Casmode has a message for Miss Melkvi. Your bunny outfit from last night was amazing. Risvitha. Little bunny, dear, open the door, Tilda. You stubborn dog, I won't open the door, Risvitha retorted. Hurry and open it, Tilda. Tilda want Tilda to Tilda come Tilda in Tilda, Leon sang, placing his hand on the bathroom door handle. I'll count to 3, and if I can't open this door, Isabella will receive your bunny outfit photos in 3 hours. A gust of wind swept by as the bathroom glass door was pushed open. Risvitha stood at the doorway, her expression a mix of resentment and helplessness. Her silver dragon eyes glared at Leon as if she wanted to mount him and ravage him wildly. Leon smiled satisfactorily. That's more like it, Miss Melkvi. Risvitha glared at him, taking a step to walk past him and just comply. But Leon seemed to have other plans, punishment on the spot. Glab! Leon lifted his arm, pressing his hand against the door frame, blocking Risvitha's path. Risvitha understood his intention from his posture. As Leon stepped forward, Risvitha retreated slowly. Until they were both inside the bathroom, Leon closed the glass door. The glow of dragon tattoo began to flicker, signaling an imminent clash on the waters. Standing before Risvitha, Leon gently tucked a strand of her hair behind her ear. Why did you come to my room? Were you eager to start tonight's lesson? Risvitha nervously twisted her skirt, her tail curling up with tension. She avoided eye contact, but her cheeks turned visibly red, like a blush spreading across the surface of a lake at sunset. Though unwilling in her heart, she was helpless. Man proposes, but fate disposes. She was at the mercy of the situation, like a fish on the chopping board, resigned to being carved up. Leon's fingertips traced over her flushed cheeks, finally gently gripping her delicate chin, forcing her to raise her head and look at him. After briefly admiring the defiant yet powerless expression of the Silver Dragon Queen, Leon lightly draped his hand over her fragrant shoulder. Risvitha shivered slightly, casting a sidelong glance at her own shoulder. Leon unhurriedly unhooked her dress straps, revealing her smooth, rounded shoulders and a corner of the dragon tattoo. He took a step forward, gently pressing against Risvitha's chest. Risvitha clicked her tongue lightly, but could only allow him to offend her like this. Leon grew bolder. He reached out and turned on the nearby shower, warm water cascading down, instantly enveloping them both. Her silver hair stuck to her cheek, mist rising instantly. Beneath the thin fabric of her dress, her skin was as smooth as jade, water flowing over the graceful curves, evoking wild thoughts. Little bunny, sneaking into my room to do naughty things, then the teacher must give you a good lesson. Vol 1ch 108. After being caught by Leon, the battlefield shifted from the bathroom to his bed. After a few rounds, Teacher Leon seemed to find the bed too small and unsatisfying, so he carried Risvitha to her own room. During halftime, with her cheeks still flushed, Risvitha asked, "Do you have to wander around everywhere? Stay in the bathroom when you're in the bathroom, and in your room when you're in your room? Aren't you afraid of being seen by others?" Leon shrugged off her concerns. "You're the queen, and I'm the queen's husband. Isn't everything we do perfectly legitimate?" Risvitha narrowed her eyes and gritted her teeth. "You are truly shameless." Leon scratched his head. "Rather than calling me shameless, dear Melkvi, when you asked me to stop during your rest, but then said to continue once we started, it seems like you're the one being more shameless, don't you think?" Risvitha was rendered speechless by Leon's retort. She hugged the pillow to her chest, wrinkling its surface with her grip. Glaring at Leon, she felt a mix of embarrassment and anger. These past 2 days could be considered the darkest days of her life as the Silver Dragon Queen. However, ultimately, it was her own reckless use of blood enchantment that planted the seed of this disaster. This seed of calamity had somehow grown to affect her even today. The more Risvitha thought about it, the angrier she became, angry at her own carelessness and angry at Leon's triumphant capture. Her full chest heaved with the rising tide of frustration and fury. She gritted her teeth, forcing herself to calm down and think rationally. Being angry alone wouldn't help in this situation. It might even embolden Leon to further exploit her vulnerability. In the end, her family's status might never recover from this ordeal. She needed to come up with a plan to turn the tables, even in the direst circumstances. After some thought, Risvitha decided to try the method she had used at 2:30 in the morning before. She planned to exploit Leon's tendency to speak the truth after falling asleep at that hour, hoping to extract the location of the backup photos. Once she found and destroyed those backups, Risvitha's troubles would be over. But the premise of this strategy's execution was that Leon must fall asleep before 2:30 in the morning. Risvitha glanced at the clock. It was just past 11 at night. Then she lowered her gaze to Leon, who was beside her. The man breathed evenly, full of energy. The battle in the first half of the night hadn't seemed to tire him at all. In fact, he looked ready for a few more hours of action. Seeing this, Risvitha couldn't help but feel a twinge of regret. This man was truly relentless. She resolved to be more vigilant in the future and not let him gain the upper hand so easily. However, she wasn't one to be easily preyed upon. Adjusting her attitude, Risvitha changed her tone. "Are you tired?" she asked. Leon glanced at her, not giving a straightforward answer. Instead, he countered, "Why are you tired?" Risvitha rubbed her arms, lowered her silver gaze, and shook her head. "I'm just worried about you." "Worried about me? Since when did this dragon mother start worrying about me?" "Yeah, humans do have a saying, good wine should be savored, not gulped down," Risvitha said. "Even the strongest dragon slayer's body can't handle being pushed to the limit day and night." As she spoke, she even leaned in closer. Risvitha raised her hand, the soft and warm palm resting on Leon's shoulder. Her chest enveloped his upper arm, her warm breath gently tickling his ear. "I'm fine with it. You can come as many times as you want. After all, my leverage is in your hands, and I can't resist you anyway," Risvitha said, with a hint of pity. "But you also need to take care of your own body. Since I can't escape, you can come anytime you want. As the saying goes, a gentle stream lasts longer. There's no need to do this every night until so late." If Leon hadn't caught her going to his room to find those backup photos, he might have actually believed this dragon mother's nonsense. There are only two possibilities for Leon to believe Risvitha. Either Risvitha has gone stupid, or he has gone stupid by letting Risvitha fool him. In any case, assuming neither of them was foolish, Leon wouldn't believe a single word from this dragon, no matter what she said. After all, how could he, after finally securing dominance over their family's status, allow himself to be swayed by her feigned sympathy. However, for now, he would agree and see what this dragon mother was plotting. He pretended to hesitate before speaking. You make a valid point. Let's call it a night for tonight. Risvitha's eyes lit up, and she secretly breathed a sigh of relief. But she knew the principle of give a little, take a little, so she didn't immediately act as if she had been granted a pardon. Instead, she suggested, but if you haven't had enough, maybe we could take a bath together. Smooth move, Risvitha. Playing it coy, she knew when to push and when to retreat. Too bad it was just a ploy. Don't deceive yourself, mate. Leon chuckled inwardly, shaking his head as he got off the bed. Rest well, see you tomorrow. He dressed and left Risvitha's bedroom. Click! The sound of the door closing echoed, and Risvitha breathed a sigh of relief. Good, the first step of the plan went smoothly. Now, all she had to do was wait quietly for 2:30 to arrive. Covering her face with her hands, Risvitha took a moment to rest before getting up from the bed and heading to the bathroom. Turning on the faucet, hot water cascaded down her body. Standing in front of the mirror, she looked at her reflection. Her skin from her waist upward was covered in hickeys. Of course, Leon was the same. Fortunately, the weather had cooled down recently, so there was no need to wear those thin clothes. Otherwise, if Anna and the others saw them, they would undoubtedly gossip endlessly. Damn dog, you could have been gentler, she complained softly, raising her hand to place it on her abdomen. After a moment, a faint glow shimmered. This was her necessary precaution after absorbing Leon's foreign cultural essence. Otherwise, those essences might turn into love's crystallization in 10 months. After taking care of everything, Risvitha stepped out of the bathroom, dried herself off, and then lay on the bed, quietly awaiting 2:30 to arrive. Several hours passed, and Risvitha tiptoed into Leon's bedroom. He lay stretched out on the bed, breathing evenly, as if already fast asleep. Risvitha quietly approached the bed, illuminated by the moonlight streaming in through the window, and looked at his resolute face. HMPH, even the mightiest dragon slayer is defenseless when sound asleep. Risvitha glanced at the clock on the wall. 2:29. She took a slow breath in and then exhaled slowly. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The second hand moved steadily, and Risvitha nervously squeezed her fingers, eagerly awaiting the moment to come. Finally, 2:30. Leon Casmode, where did you hide the backup copies of my bunny girl photos? Risvitha asked. No response. She waited quietly. Last time, it took Leon a few seconds to respond after she asked a question. However, after a dozen seconds passed, Leon still didn't respond. Risvitha frowned slightly. Leon, where did you hide the photos? Still no response. The flame of hope that had just ignited in Risvitha's heart was instantly extinguished. Her master had said that asking him questions at 2:30 in the morning had a chance of eliciting his truthful answers. However, it was a chance, not a guarantee. It seemed that Risvitha had been lucky a few days ago, catching him off guard. But today, on this more crucial occasion, luck was not on her side. Feeling disappointed, Risvitha turned to leave. But just as she turned around, it seemed like she suddenly realized something. She quickly looked back at Leon, pursed her lips, and said, Leon, take me to where you hid the photos. Her master had also mentioned that besides truthful answers, dare occasionally worked too. With a mentality of trying anything, Risvitha had no choice but to give this tactic a shot. After giving the command, she nervously waited. Hurry up, Leon, move, Leon, come on, Leon, move. Ugh. Leon mumbled in his sleep, and then, surprisingly, he slowly sat up. Risvitha felt a surge of hope. There was a chance. After sitting up, Leon slowly got out of bed, dragging his feet with slow steps, swaying as he walked towards the bedroom door. Risvitha followed closely behind him. HMPH, dog, you've been arrogant for 2 days, and you still don't know whose captive you are, do you? When you wake up tomorrow morning, you'll find everything back to square one. Vol 1CH 109. Leon sleepwalked out of the room, heading straight for the back mountain behind the temple. Risvitha followed closely behind him. Watching his movements, the queen couldn't help muttering, "What a cunning dragon slayer, he didn't hide the photos in the room after all." With such a vast back mountain, finding a few photos is like finding a needle in a haystack. Fortunately, she now had a humanoid magnet who would sleepwalk into adventures, capable of attracting that needle lost in the sea. Additionally, Risvitha had discovered a trick for using 2:30 in the morning. If asking Leon for the truth, she only had 1 minute to do so. If she exceeded that time, he wouldn't respond anymore. However, if she wanted him to take a dare, judging from the current situation, Leon wouldn't stop until he completed the dare. Thinking of this, Risvitha smiled knowingly. It seemed better to let him take dares in the future. It was more cost-effective. With that in mind, Risvitha followed Leon up the back mountain. After walking for about 20 minutes, they could see the cherry blossom forest ahead. This stirred up a not-so-good memory for Risvitha. Recently, after awakening her bloodthirsty instincts, Leon took her to this place as the first stop of their wild adventure. He claimed it was to treat her in the same way she had treated him before, when she had forced him in the woods outside the Empire. Now, he wanted to retaliate in front of her at the Silver Dragon Temple. It just showed that 2 revengeful individuals weren't suitable for marriage. Otherwise, there would never be peace in the household. Retracting her thoughts, she followed Leon into the cherry blossom forest. But Leon's steps didn't stop. Could it not be hidden here? To be honest, this cherry blossom forest held a certain significance for both of them. Whether good or bad, it was meaningful. So, Risvitha initially thought Leon might have hidden the photos here. Since they weren't there, she continued to follow him. Next, in his sleepwalking state, Leon led Risvitha to a streamside. This place left a deep impression on Risvitha. It was the second landmark after she and Leon visited the cherry blossom forest. That night, the stars adorned the sky, and the cool river water flowed beneath them, contrasting with the heat and discomfort of their bodies. Risvitha let out a soft sigh, shaking her head to drive away the jumbled memories and emotions. She looked at Leon, who showed no signs of stopping. It seemed the photo wasn't here. They leaped over the river and ventured further inside. Passing by several of their previous landmarks, Risvitha noticed something subtle, or perhaps coincidental. Every place Leon led her through was one of their original checkpoints from their wilderness battles, and they were following the same order. They say dreams reflect one's innermost feelings. Perhaps sleepwalking does too. So that wilderness checkpoint must have given this man a sense of accomplishment. The higher you rise, the harder you fall. HMPH, revel in your dreams, Dragon Slayer, but you'll have a rude awakening soon. The queen's mind stirred slightly as she continued to follow Leon. As they walked, they arrived at a grove of poplar trees. This wasn't one of the original checkpoints. The air was cool, and the evening breeze rustled through the trembling leaves of the poplar trees, making a soft, rustling sound. Creak, creak. Underfoot lay a carpet of fallen poplar leaves, their crunching sounds clear with each step. Suddenly, Leon stopped ahead. Risvitha also paused, furrowing her brow as she gazed at the man's silhouette ahead. Another gust of wind blew through the woods, swirling the leaves between them. Silver strands brushed against Risvitha's face as she surveyed her surroundings, wondering, could the photo be hidden here? But Leon didn't move to search anywhere. Instead, he stood there motionless with his back to her. Suddenly, Risvitha realized something. Grieg! The man in front of her stepped on the leaves, slowly turning around. In the moonlight, his resolute and handsome face bore a smug smile. I fell for it. Seeing Leon's smile, Risvitha immediately understood what was happening. He hadn't been asleep at all, nor had he followed Risvitha's instructions for the dream adventure. He had been playing along with her the whole time. His compliance was just a weapon to deceive her. As soon as he got the chance, he would strike back with a vengeance. The poor queen, manipulated by the cunning dragon slayer, felt a sense of helplessness. His docility was just a facade, and no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't escape his control. However, she silently stored this feeling in her heart as her motivation for future revenge. Failure is the mother of success. As the saying goes, fortunes can change in 30 years. Risvitha refused to believe she couldn't regain control. She stumbled back 2 steps and leaned against a poplar tree. Creak, creaker. The man who had her firmly in his grasp approached slowly, stepping on the dry poplar leaves. The sound of the leaves crunching seemed to echo Risvitha's shattered will to survive. Leon stood in front of Risvitha, watching her with a somewhat dazed expression, and chuckled. Although I don't know what enchantment you used on me to make me follow your every word, obviously, it didn't work. Risvitha looked at him, thinking to herself, idiot, there's no enchantment. It's clearly your own bizarre weakness. But Risvitha didn't intend to tell Leon about the incident at 2:30 just yet. Despite this setback, it was still a good way to get him to speak the truth or to lead him on dream adventures. There will definitely come a day when this will come in handy, and judging from what he just said, he himself is unaware of this weakness. His master probably kept this information from him, just like Risvitha did, to ensure he'd do more chores. So Risvitha couldn't reveal it yet. If she did, Leon would undoubtedly try to overcome this bizarre weakness of his. Who would complain about having an ace up their sleeve, right? Even though she was currently facing adversity, the Silver Dragon Queen continued to advance steadily, laying her plans carefully. You must be familiar with the places we just passed by, right? Leon said, moving closer. Risvitha, feeling cornered, pressed her head against the tree trunk, her body tight against it. With Leon right in front of her, she could even feel his warm breath. Being scrutinized by those black eyes with a hint of playfulness, Risvitha felt both embarrassed and angry. Indeed, his decision to take her back to those checkpoints wasn't impulsive. It was specifically designed to evoke her memories. At that thought, Risvitha turned her head away, but Leon reached out and grabbed her chin, forcing her to look at him. Tell me, Miss Melkvi, which part of this outdoor class did you enjoy the most? Leon asked with a smile. Was it the cherry blossom forest, the riverside, or this grove of poplar trees? Since her charade had been exposed by Leon, Risvitha saw no need to pretend to be a weak woman anymore. I didn't like any of it, especially not here. Very well, then let's make this grove our last lesson for tonight. To slay a dragon, one must also slay the heart. You are so ruthless, Casmode. Before Risvitha could say anything else, Leon's broad, cool hand gently grasped her slender waist and pulled her into his embrace. Then his lips met hers with fiery tenderness. Risvitha struggled for a moment, patting Leon's shoulders, but it only deepened his kiss and tightened his embrace. In the end, Risvitha surrendered. Since resistance was futile, she decided to enjoy the passionate embrace before the storm. After all, ever since Leon had unlocked the skill of kissing, he had always been quite gentle when kissing her, nothing like the stereotypical, domineering dragon king, oily and rough. As their kiss reached its climax, dragon runes shimmered. Crackle! The beauty's delicate body sank onto the bed of leaves, scattering golden fragments. Her hair swayed among the leaves, like silver tassels in the twilight. Risvitha's fingertips inadvertently picked up a leaf, then brought it to her lips, where she held it between them. Grieg! As she bit down on the leaf, it seemed to herald the beginning of a whole new game. Vol 1ch 110. In the evening, the silver-haired beauty sat at her desk in the study, wearing a thin chiffon slip nightgown. She rested her slender legs on the desk, her dragon-winged slippers hanging loosely from her delicate feet, while faint red kiss marks lingered on her fair swan-like neck and barely visible soft skin. Risvitha opened the locked drawer and retrieved a dark brown leather-bound diary. Since that incident, it had been half a month, and she found herself writing in her diary much more frequently than before. Struggles, efforts, but unable to change the situation. Helpless, with no place to vent her suppressed feelings of shame and humiliation, she resorted to writing in her diary as a means of temporary relief. Risvitha's diary. October 3rd, Leon showed me the photos he secretly took of me in the bunny costume, using them as a threat to force me to wear the bunny costume again and engage with him. October 4th, I attempted to find those photos and backups, but Leon caught me and forced me to engage with him. October 5th, in the early hours, I thought the 2:30 a.m. adventure had come true, but it wasn't until he led me to that grove of poplar trees that I realized it was all a trap he set up just to be with me. Damn captive. October 6th, engaged. October 7th, engaged. October 11th, engaged. October 12th, Risvitha, oh Risvitha, you can't let that captive continue to insult and exploit you. You must resist, fight back. October 13th, engaged. October 14th, I snapped at him, really snapped at him, furious. But unexpectedly, instead of fueling the fire or mocking me, he just waited for me to calm down and then spoke to me in a very gentle tone, saying he understood me, knew me, and some other sweet words. I know this behavior is called pampering in human society, often used between couples or spouses. Although I don't quite understand it, after he comforted me, I did feel a bit better. Sometimes that dog's mouth can be quite sweet. Then engaged, HMPH, I'd rather believe in ghosts than trust a man's broken mouth. October 15th, at night, he forced me to call him husband. I refused, so he kept pestering me from after dinner until midnight. I don't understand. How can the strongest dragon slayer make such a straight and childish demand? He wanted me to call him, but I wouldn't. I did it once during the sports meet and ended up taking it seriously. Idiot. Even if he pesters me until the next morning, I won't call him. As Risvitha read this passage, she snapped the diary shut and closed her eyes, but the memories of that unbearable night still flooded back. That evening, Leon just wanted to try something new. He planned to let Risvitha go if she obediently called him husband. However, what he didn't expect was for the dragoness's mouth to be so stubborn. To force her to comply, Leon first made her put on the bunny costume again for a round 2. And for added fun, he forced Risvitha to tear a few holes in her black stockings, making it even more tantalizing. But even then, the dragoness refused to yield. She just wouldn't call him husband. All right, on to the next move, the blindfolded kiss. Leon didn't tell her where he was going to kiss. He wanted to evoke that feeling of being randomly called upon by a teacher in school, nervous yet thrilling. But even after the kiss, her lips remained tightly shut. You've got guts, Risvitha. If that's the case, how will you respond when I bring out the third move? He carried Risvitha to the balcony, pointing at the moon in the sky, telling her, I'll keep tormenting you until the moon is covered by clouds. Risvitha looked up at the night sky. The moon was bright, and there wasn't a single cloud in sight. Leon made it clear he wasn't going to let her off the hook. To call or not to call, HM. I won't call, I'd rather die than call, just go ahead and torture me. True to his word, the torment began. Risvitha endured the shame, keeping her mouth tightly closed, refusing to utter the 2 words that would grant her respite. Leon, why won't you call? Risvitha, I just won't. Unfortunately, the next entry in the diary read, October 16th, 3 a.m. I called. Note called 7 times. Snab. Risvitha closed the diary once again. Indeed, it was too painful to look at. She thought that, judging from the content of these entries, perhaps it couldn't even be called a diary anymore. The Queen's Suffering Chronicles or the Revenge Notebook might be more appropriate. Risvitha hadn't intended to write down these humiliations and dark moments. But in order to push herself towards more ruthless retaliation against Leon in the future, she had to record the trials and tribulations she endured in written form. It was both pressure and motivation. With her silver eyes fixed on the diary's cover, the Queen's mind stirred slightly. She had to do something. Risvitha realized she had to take action, or else the pressure would become unbearable, her health would deteriorate, and her family's status would plummet, leaving her with no chance of ever turning things around. With this thought in mind, Risvitha's peripheral vision fell on an envelope in the drawer. Setting aside the diary, she retrieved the envelope from the drawer. There was no sender or recipient listed on it, and inside was only a thin sheet of paper, lacking the thickness one would expect after 2 years of silence. It was the letter she left for Leon when she met with Teg. Her master had said that if Leon saw the contents of the letter, he would know they were still alive and safe. So now, Risvitha intended to use her master's message as leverage to exchange for the backups of those photos from Leon. It had been almost a month since she returned, and she had initially planned to use the letter as a bargaining chip against Leon later on. But given the current situation, she had no choice but to bring it out now. In any case, restoring the situation was more important than anything else. As for leveraging Leon, she had other methods at her disposal, not just this one. Risvitha pursed her lips, returned the letter to the drawer, and locked it securely. Then she stood up, left the study, and returned to the bedroom. The bed was slightly disheveled, bearing the traces of their recent skirmish. Risvitha thought about straightening it up, but decided to change the sheets altogether instead. After the change, she sighed in relief. Tick-tock, the clock behind her ticked away steadily. Risvitha glanced back and saw that it was already midnight. Feeling drowsy, she realized that she could finally get some rest earlier today. She slipped off her shoes, crawled into bed, and pulled the covers over herself. Leaning against the headboard, Risvitha's eyes inadvertently fell on the oversized teddy bear beside her. With a subtle movement of her eyes, she grabbed the teddy bear and delivered a few punches to its soft, plushy face. As she battered the bear's face, she muttered to herself, dog of a man, go to hell." After relieving her tension with the teddy bear, Risvitha tossed it aside and drifted off to sleep. The next evening, after dinner, the couple stood side by side in the kitchen washing dishes. Leon took care of the stains while Risvitha rinsed and dried. Their cooperation was seamless, requiring little verbal communication. As they neared the end of the task, Risvitha asked, "Are you staying tonight?" Leon's dishwashing motion paused for a moment, and he replied with a smile, "If you don't want me to stay, you can plead with me. I might consider giving you a day off." Risvitha didn't say anything more and placed the last plate on the rack. After dinner, the couple went out to play with Muin for a while. Leon mentioned that Muin was currently in the stage of magical enlightenment and showed signs of awakening magical talent. They needed to keep a closer eye on him. This was a good thing. Typically, young dragons didn't awaken their talents until they were around 3 or 4 years old. Prodigies like Noya awakened theirs at the age of 1. As the sister of a prodigy, although she usually behaved like a cute mascot, Muin's talent was indeed remarkable, provided she was willing to study seriously. By the time it was past 8 in the evening, Leon carried the tired Muin back to her sister's room and settled her onto the small bed. The little dragon curled up her tail and lay quietly there. Even though she was exhausted, she murmured, "I want to learn magic. I want to learn magic." With an excellent sister as a role model, she didn't need adults to urge her on. She would motivate herself to progress. After watching their youngest daughter fall asleep, the couple returned to Risvitha's room. As they entered, before reaching the bedroom, Leon wrapped his arms around Risvitha's waist and kissed her lips. However, this time, Risvitha extended her hand and gently pressed her index finger against Leon's lips, whispering softly, "Don't rush, go to the study. I have a surprise for you tonight." Although it sounded tempting, Leon wasn't about to be manipulated by her. "Come on, understand your role, Mother Dragon. It's the phase where the captive takes control. I say something, you do it. That's how it goes." He grabbed Risvitha's wrist and pulled her hand away from his mouth. "What if I insist on staying here? What can you do about it?" Leon taunted, glancing at the lingering marks of kisses on her body with feigned pity. "Tusk, tusk, tusk. It breaks my heart to see such well-maintained skin covered in so many strawberry marks. My apologies, Your Majesty." "HMPH, stop pretending, Leon. I'm not afraid of you tonight," Risvitha retorted. Before dinner, Leon checked the hiding place of the photo backups as usual, and everything was well preserved without being discovered. So, whatever Risvitha said was just empty threats in Leon's eyes. He reached out, caressing her cheek gently. "Mother Dragon, your whole body is soft except for your mouth." Risvitha chuckled. "Aren't you curious about the surprise I just mentioned?" Leon's mind stirred slightly. She was so insistent on this so-called surprise. Could it really be something important? After a brief contemplation, Leon released her hand. "Go to the study, let's see what tricks you can come up with." Risvitha adjusted the collar of her dress and glanced at him before striding quickly towards her study. Leon followed behind her. The couple entered the study, one after the other. Risvitha approached the desk while Leon stood to the side. She opened a drawer and pulled out an envelope. Leon glanced at the envelope, furrowing his brow slightly. Seeing his attention drawn to the envelope, Risvitha casually said, "Here, there's news from your master." The moment Leon heard the word master, he instinctively reached out to snatch the letter, but Risvitha reacted swiftly, hiding the envelope behind her back. She looked at Leon's face, which was filled with eager concern. Perfect, just the expression she wanted from him. "I can tell, after more than 2 years apart. You're anxious to know about your master's well-being," Risvitha said, "but if you really want to see what's inside this letter, you'll need to trade something for it, understand?" Leon immediately guessed the meaning behind Risvitha's words. The photo backups. Risvitha nodded. "But how do I know if this letter is really from my master, or if you just made up a blank sheet to trick me into giving you the backups?" Leon replied. Leon was indeed worried about his master's safety, but he couldn't forget the mental battle with this dragon. If he fell into her trap and gave her the chance to turn the tables, he wouldn't have the luxury to worry about his master. He'd have to worry about himself first. Seemingly anticipating Leon's response, Risvitha continued, "But I'm the only person you can ask about your master's condition. If you don't trust me, you have no other options, do you?" She leaned forward, one hand on the desk, gazing into Leon's eyes with a smug smile. "So what will you do? Will you continue hiding those backup photos, or will you miss out on this rare opportunity to learn about your master's whereabouts?" Risvitha was right. If he wanted to inquire about his master's condition, he only had this one method: to rely on Risvitha. So regardless of whether what she produced was genuine or not, Leon had no choice. However, Leon wasn't entirely unprepared either. When he showed Risvitha the Playboy Bunny photos earlier, he had told her there were only 3 copies, including the one she burned. But in reality, he had printed 5 copies. Even if he gave her the other 2 now in exchange for his master's letter, Leon would still have 2 backup copies left. No matter, the advantage still lay with him. Of course, this was the escape route Leon left for himself. Since this was a trade, he would still uphold his integrity. After all, Risvitha had never betrayed him in serious matters like this, so how could he betray her? Regaining his focus, Leon nodded. All right, I'll go get them for you. With that, the situation was once again balanced. Vol 1ch 111. Before long, Leon returned to the study with the 3 Playboy bunny photos. One was the one he showed Risvitha at the beginning, which she angrily burned one of. The other 2 were the remaining backups he mentioned. He placed the 3 photos on the desk and pushed them towards Risvitha. True to her word, Risvitha handed over the envelope containing the letter from Leon's master. Immediately, Risvitha's gaze fell upon the photos in front of her. She stacked the 3 photos together and examined them, but just one glance, and her cheeks reddened involuntarily. One had to admire this guy's creativity and skill. Without actual bunny ears, he had used Risvitha's hair to create a pair. In the photos, she lay there quietly, like a life-sized doll, posed in various cute and charming positions by Leon. It was a humiliation, a complete and utter humiliation. What's more, besides the solo shots, there were many pictures of Leon with her. In each of the group photos, Leon wore a triumphant smile, but the happier he looked in the photos, the more difficult it was for Risvitha to endure looking at them. They couldn't be kept. Absolutely not. If Isabella were to see them, there would be no peace for the Silver Dragon Sanctuary for the next 200 years. Risvitha gathered dragon flame in her hand and quickly incinerated the photos into ashes. A huge weight lifted off Risvitha's heart. Erasing her own dark history felt incredibly satisfying. However, Risvitha secretly kept one photo of her and Leon together. In this particular photo, Risvitha and Leon weren't very close. Later, she could simply crop her own face out and leave only Leon and an unidentified Playboy bunny miss. Risvitha smirked to herself, feeling a sense of satisfaction at having a piece of leverage tucked away. With this in mind, if Leon were to engage in such mischief again in the future, Risvitha could retaliate by suggesting that he wouldn't want his fondness for black silk Playboy bunnies to become public knowledge, right? Meanwhile, Leon had opened the envelope and retrieved the letter inside. Risvitha sat in her chair, unable to see what the letter contained, but judging from the single sheet of paper, it didn't seem to be lengthy. However, considering the mysterious old man's personality, he probably wouldn't write any lengthy emotional speeches. Simply stating Teg's condition would be sufficient. Risvitha didn't rush Leon. She simply waited quietly for him to finish reading the letter. As she watched Leon's eyes, she noticed that his pupils hadn't moved at all, continuously staring at a particular spot on the paper. Furrowing her brow slightly, Risvitha wondered if Teg had written something he couldn't understand, or perhaps something else entirely. After a moment's thought, Risvitha asked, "What did your master say? Do you mind if I take a look?" Leon pursed his lips and placed the letter on the table, then slid it toward Risvitha. She took the paper and lowered her gaze to read it. Then she froze too. It wasn't surprising that Leon's eyes hadn't moved earlier, fixed on a particular spot on the paper. Because on this letter, there was only one sentence. Well, calling it a sentence would be an overstatement. It was more like 3 words. "Kid, donkey's fine, don't worry." That was it. Risvitha had just been thinking that the mysterious old man wouldn't be too sentimental, so the letter shouldn't be too long. But she had not anticipated that not only was it short, but it was also extremely concise. And within this brief message, 1/3 of it was about his damn donkey. What was this? Some sort of secret code between master and disciple. Risvitha blinked and set down the letter, then looked up at Leon. The couple exchanged a brief glance before Risvitha asked, "With such a unique style, I believe you can confirm the authenticity of this letter." For now, she didn't delve into the meaning behind Teg's choice of these 6 words. Risvitha needed to first prove to Leon that this transaction wasn't part of her usual schemes. Leon, being reasonable, nodded. The handwriting is indeed my master's. As for the content. He closed his eyes and let out a slow breath. Seeing him like this, Risvitha hesitated about whether to comfort him, perhaps saying that maybe his master was just old and not good at expressing emotions, and so on. But before she could say anything, Leon spoke seriously. For others, after 2 years of not seeing their disciple, they might seize the opportunity to send a longer letter to assure their well-being. But if it's my master, then everything makes sense. Risvitha silently covered her face. Well, it seemed that not all families shared the same sentiments or entered through the same door. No wonder his master said, "As long as he reads the letter, he'll know I'm safe," Risvitha remarked. But she trailed off, looking at Leon. But Leon lowered his gaze to the letter on the table, fixating on the last 2 words. "I don't quite understand why my master would say, 'Don't worry.'" He pulled a chair from the side and sat down, meeting Risvitha's gaze across the desk. Although he was a farmer before retiring, he was also an imperial dragon slayer. He said he didn't achieve much and retired naturally as he got older. But even so, would he really say, "Don't worry," to his disciple whom he's had no contact with for 2 years? Leon pondered aloud, almost as if discussing with Risvitha, "Is he trying to prevent me from returning?" Risvitha contemplated this. Teg did indeed insist that Leon should not return to the Empire within a year. When Risvitha inquired about the reason, the other party was unwilling to elaborate further. This request wasn't much of a concern for Risvitha. She hadn't intended to let Leon go back in the first place. But it seemed necessary to subtly hint at it in the letter to Leon. Vaguely, Risvitha seemed to guess that the enigmatic former dragon slayer was planning something significant. However, she couldn't casually mention her speculation to Leon, as it was just her guess. So regarding the phrase, "Don't worry," Risvitha offered another explanation. "Your master might, I think you're inadequate." Leon was taken aback, furrowing his brows. "Inadequate? How am I inadequate?" He straightened up, slapping the table with his palm, and meticulously recounted his past glories to Risvitha. "Before I came to you, I consistently dominated the top spot on the Imperial Dragon Slayer leaderboard, with a significant lead over the second place. Even if I let him catch up for 2 years, he still couldn't surpass me. And I hold all the records for physical tests in the Dragon Slayer Academy, whether during reserve duty or active service. I've been the champion of all the various tests organized by the Empire. I have so many medals and accolades that I've lost count, you know." Risvitha clasped her hands together, chin lightly resting on the back of her hand, patiently listening to Leon's classic champion bragging. Then, she leisurely replied, "And then what? Which champion gets captured by the enemy for over 2 years and can't return? Well, you're like the champion of being captured and submitting assignments on time." Once the situation returned to balance, Risvitha switched back to her biting mode. "Don't even mention being your master. I think you're incompetent." Leon blushed. "Why do you think I'm incompetent? Is it because I haven't taught you enough in the past 2 weeks?" Risvitha shrugged nonchalantly. "And what does that prove? Don't forget, in our last sparring match, you were defeated by me." Smaku. Leon slammed the table. "Put on your clothes. We're going outside for another round right now." "Oh, someone's getting impatient." Risvitha looked at Leon's expression with satisfaction, then leaned back comfortably in her chair, crossing her arms and adopting a composed posture. "I don't, anyway. From what I see now, my winning rate against you is 100%. You've never beaten me, and that's enough." Risvitha. "Calm down, Dragon Slayer. Your master is the one saying you're incompetent." Risvitha paused for a moment, then added, "But I absolutely won't let you go back. You're my captive." Vol 1ch, 112. Master's way of doing things has always been different from normal people. So when he wrote, "Do not worry," in the letter, he might really be annoyed that his disciple, whom he raised since childhood, has become incompetent. When others say Leon is incompetent, he just dismissively smiles. "If you think I'm incompetent, then come and challenge me. But if the master says he's incompetent, then he has to take this issue seriously." It's been quite a while since he woke up. During this time, although he has been enduring Risvitha's torment and his body's recovery rate is not as fast as before, recent events have led to Leon's overall physical qualities steadily improving. Reaching his peak again is only a matter of time. Risvitha shouldn't have given him that half-month break, which gave him some surplus energy, and during the days when he had dominance, he didn't forget everything. He still paid attention to using his strength regularly. So even though the situation has stabilized now, if Risvitha wants to manipulate Leon as easily as before in the future, it won't be so simple anymore. It will take some effort to do so. But for top dragon slayers like Leon, who repeatedly achieve feats on the battlefield and slay numerous enemies, it's not just brute strength they rely on. There's also the crucial aspect of magical power. Leon's magical attribute is thunder, an extremely offensive element. Whether used for clearing out large numbers of troops or dealing single-target damage to dragon kings, it has extraordinary effects. However, after awakening, Leon tried to tap into his magical power, but found it was nowhere near as strong as before his coma. When he initially forged the dragon greatsword, it was the first time he used magic to do something after awakening, and he vaguely felt that his magical power was almost depleted. Later, during the spar with Risvitha, the mother dragon unleashed dragon flames and various magic attacks against Leon, who could only dodge and lacked enough magic to counterattack. In desperation, he barely managed to strengthen himself with the remaining thunder element, which allowed him to barely turn the tables. But in the end, he was still defeated by Risvitha. There's no way around it. Even with strong physical qualities, without magical support, one simply cannot defeat opponents at the Dragon King level. After dinner, Leon sat in his nursery, pondering the issue of magical power. He looked at his palm, attempting to channel his magic. A few lazy electric sparks flickered twice. Like a part-time worker whose boss calls them during off hours, cheerfully responding, I'm coming," but actually has no intention of leaving their seat. Leon stared at the remaining electric sparks, feeling conflicted. "Honestly, if I don't want to flash, I can just not flash." Too weak. The strength of his magical power was not even 1/10 of what it was before his coma. What could be the cause of this result? Leon pondered. Did Risvitha tamper with his body during his coma? After some thought, Leon quickly dismissed this speculation. Because if Risvitha really wanted to do something to him during his coma, it wouldn't be as simple as just suppressing his magical power. She could have done much more, like ensuring that his physical qualities never fully recovered, leaving him weak even after waking up. Why bother engaging in a battle of wits like they are now? Moreover, when Leon tried to channel his magic, he only sensed depletion without any force trying to suppress or seal his magic. So if it's not related to Risvitha, he needs to find the reason within himself. Leon scratched his head and glanced at several books on the table. They were basic magic and herbal books he used for teaching Noya and forging the dragon greatsword. He had gone through them repeatedly and was sure there was nothing in them that could solve his magic depletion issue. Instead of speculating aimlessly here, I should find some useful books to study. He remembered seeing a library while wandering with Muin in the temple. It wasn't frequented by many people, so it was likely Risvitha's private library. The hidden books there should contain the answers Leon needs. After a brief hesitation, Leon got up and went to the adjacent room of Risvitha. She was working on some leftover tasks in the study. Hearing footsteps, the queen raised her head and looked over. Seeing Leon, she lowered her head again and asked, Is there something you need? Leon leaned against the doorway, thought for a moment, and said, Muin has been asking about magic enlightenment recently. I don't have much experience in this area, so I want to borrow some books from you to study. Risvitha continued to focus on her work, gesturing towards the nearby bookshelf with her chin. Take whatever you want to read from there. Leon's eyes flickered slightly, but he didn't say anything. He just nodded and walked to the bookshelf. Scanning the shelves, Leon picked out a few books, skimmed through them roughly, then turned back to Risvitha. These aren't quite enough. Do you have anything else? Risvitha paused her work briefly, glancing sideways. It's just magic enlightenment. Aren't these books sufficient? Leon shrugged. After enlightenment, we still need to slowly teach her basic magic. I don't really understand your Dragon Clan's magic curriculum, so I want to learn more while I can. I can teach her, Risvitha said. You're usually quite busy. I'll handle it, Leon replied. Pausing for a moment, Leon added, You've also seen the remedial lessons and final results I gave to Noya for her entrance exam, right? I'm quite good at teaching children in this regard. Risvitha thought about it and found his reasoning reasonable. She was indeed very busy with her usual work, and occasionally had to go out to patrol the territories, making it difficult to consistently teach Muin magic lessons. The same applied to Anna and the others. Upon reflection, Leon seemed to be the most suitable candidate after all. Setting down her pen, Risvitha opened a drawer and took out a key. On the 4th floor of the temple, on the left side, there's a library at the very end. The books there should meet your needs. Leon looked at the key on the table. Although his expression remained calm, he was extremely excited inside. As long as he could freely access the library and find a solution to his magic depletion problem, it wouldn't be difficult. Never underestimate the speed at which a top student swims in the ocean of knowledge. Suppressing his excitement, Leon calmly picked up the key and said, Thanks. As he started to walk towards the door, Risvitha suddenly called out, Hey, wait a minute. Leon paused, thinking that the dragoness might be having second thoughts. Turning back, he asked, What's wrong? When you first awakened to magic enlightenment, which element did you awaken? Risvitha inquired. Hearing this, Leon inwardly relaxed and replied, I awakened to the lightning element magic. Regardless of the race, once someone starts practicing magic, they will go through the stage of enlightenment awakening. The magical element awakened after enlightenment represents the user's innate power. Of course, it's possible to master other elemental magics through subsequent learning. But in terms of control difficulty and learning speed, they are not as effective as the innate elemental magic awakened during enlightenment. It's worth mentioning that almost all magic users can only awaken one elemental magic. Those who can awaken 2 elements are considered geniuses among geniuses. As a top dragon slayer among humans, Leon also only has one type of elemental magic. Risvitha nodded thoughtfully. Oh, I see. What about you? Leon asked casually. I awaken to the fire element, Risvitha replied. Most dragons awaken to the fire element after enlightenment. Didn't you learn about this at the Dragon Slayer Academy? Leon chuckled. I did, just asking casually, no need to doubt me. Rolling her eyes at him, Risvitha ignored his comment and continued working. However, this time, Leon didn't rush to leave. If almost all dragons awaken to the fire element and humans awaken to various elements, then what about hybrids of humans and dragons? So what about Noya? Leon asked again. Risvitha's pen paused for a moment, as if finding it difficult to answer. She replied vaguely, lightning. What? Leon didn't catch that clearly. Lightning, Noya awakened to the same element as you, all right, Risvitha clarified, somewhat reluctantly. Leon laughed at her words. Oh, it's normal for daughters to take after their father's Tilda. He shook the key in his hand and walked back to his desk. Having found an opportunity to tease Risvitha again, How could Leon let it slip easily? Even though I've become a bit rusty, my daughter has inherited my strength. Moreover, Noya is a little genius. Doesn't that indirectly indicate that her old man is also a genius? Leon chuckled and sighed. I wonder if Muin will also awaken to lightning. I think she will. Rosvitha glanced at him and said, just wait and see, Muin will definitely awaken to fire. It'll be lightning, Leon insisted. Rosvitha's competitive spirit was piqued by Leon's strange certainty. She slammed the table and confidently replied, it's fire, let's wait and see.